Well, turning now to California, where the Sherpa wildfire continues to grow, now consuming nearly 8,000 acres near Santa Barbara. Hot and dry conditions, even triple-digit temperatures in some places are making things difficult for firefighters. Although they do now have the fire about 45% contained, officials predict that it could be fully contained by around June 23rd. Demetriou from our KNX radio station in Los Angeles has been monitoring the fires. He joins me now by phone. Pete, you've been covering the Santa Barbara County fire pretty extensively. What can you tell us is the latest?
Basically, it's an interesting situation. The acreage has not really increased. The areas that are burning are still burning inside the Sherpa fire, are inside the perimeter that it has had a footprint for about the last 48 hours. About 7,800 acres in all. They do have a scratch line or a hard line of around 45% of that area, which is covered. That's the good news. The bad news, unfortunately, is the conditions for the firefighters on the line are going to be just absolutely terrible for the next 48 to 72 hours, specifically dealing with higher temperatures. We have a high-pressure system that is operating here in the west right now, specifically over Southern California and extending over into the desert areas. And up in Santa Barbara, they're estimating today the temperatures on the line itself will probably be close to 90 degrees. And the scary part is this. Humidity levels are going to be dropping to as low as 8% at a particular point. At that level of humidity, with brush that's already dying or dead, brush doesn't just burn. It literally almost explodes. It generates enough heat that it can generate its own wind and allow for spotting, with embers flying hundreds of meters ahead or hundreds of yards ahead of where the fire currently is. That is a major concern. Now, they can't put any more assets on there. They've got about 1,200 personnel there, a couple of helicopters, probably 6 or so, and a couple of large fixed-wing air tankers. But the areas they're concerned about are on the eastern flank of the fire. There's a topographical map. I'll probably be sending it to you guys so you can have it for the near future, which show the eastern flank of the fire is a series of rolling ridges and deep canyons that extend to the east and southeast of the main line of the fire, which was bracing the 101 freeway, US 101, down the coast. That's the area they're most concerned about for it being able to run. There's also the factor coming in of possible sundowner winds. Now, they had them overnight, but the scratch lines, for the most part, held. The fire burned within those lines, but didn't go outward on them. So it's basically going to be now a weather-driven fire. And the thing is, just cross your fingers and hope that it doesn't push it beyond the lines of containment they have and into fresh brush, and then it's off to the races.
What's your biggest concern, Pete, right now with this fire?
Biggest concern is for the safety of the firefighters. It's tough enough when you're out there and it's hot and you're just, doing your work. You're interviewing people, you're walking around in 90-degree temperatures. Put yourself in a fire line. You've got a Nomex jumpsuit on, you've got a helmet, you've got gear that probably weighs 8 to 25 pounds, including a water bottle and everything else you've got, plus heavy boots. And you're operating in 90 to 100-degree temperatures. Let me just give you this, because this is going to put people into the context of what extreme heat can do to somebody. If you're in 100-degree temperatures and the humidity level is 10% or less, if you are standing still, breathing, doing nothing else, you're losing water at a quart an hour.
Wow.
You lose 2 quarts, you pass out. You lose 3 quarts, dig a hole and bury you, because you're going to die. Firefighters are going to have to watch for hydration. They're going to have to watch for heat stroke conditions. And they're really, really going to have to take it easy. And tomorrow, believe it or not, is going to be even worse. Temperatures on the line over 100 degrees and the same low level of humidity. Again, the weather is the factor here on this one. The fuel they can't control. They know it's out there. They know it's going to burn. The question is where the wind's going to come from, and if they do push it, whether it gets into fresh fuel. It's still a considerable distance away from any homes, but they want to try to keep it away from there and try to keep it from crossing the 101 freeway again, as it's done several times over the last few days.
I've never thought of that dehydration angle with the firefighters. So important, Pete. You always help us look at these wildfires from a different angle. Pete Demetriou from KNX Radio. Thank you so much, Pete.
No problem.